Back again with another Bond review, and today we're going to talk about Casino Royale. So, now we enter the Daniel Craig era. And I remember seeing this in the theater when it came out, back in 2006. And I forgot which month it was, but I remember seeing this in the theater. And I remember even before this film came out, when they announced, Daniel Craig was going to be the next Bond. And I'm like, Daniel Craig? The guy from Road to Perdition? Which is a good movie, but all I saw of Daniel Craig at the time was that he was a bad guy type to me. So I'm like, I don't know how this is going to work out. But, Daniel Craig, his Bond, to me, he's a really good Bond. I know he's got one more coming out. It's hard for me to say that he's better than previous Bonds. But I will say that he brings a more grounded approach to the character, more of a serious approach. If you want to say that he's more along the lines of Timothy Dalton, but for me, Timothy Dalton did that first, where Dalton brought that hard edge to the character, and intensity. Daniel Craig's Bond, and I don't want to use the term realistic, because I see that a lot. I think it's overused, in my opinion. Because you see that, when people describe, Daniel Craig's Bond and this era of Bond films and what have you, the term realistic. So I don't want to use that here. But Daniel Craig, like I said, he brings more of a, a grounded approach to the character, more of a serious performance. You could say, more of a classic feel to the character that, if Daniel Craig was around in the 60s and the 70s, he would slide in with ease, during that time period, because, again, he sort of brings that, classic feel to the character. But he's believable to me. I don't know if he has, when I compare him to, let's say, I feel that, to me, Sean Connery, Roger Moore, I think they have a little bit more charisma to their Bonds. But so where Daniel Craig may lack in that area a little bit, and that's just my take, my opinion on Daniel Craig. But I think he does well in bringing, again, more of a, grounded, serious Bond, kind of a classic feel to the character. I guess I could use the word more grim, but again, I want to try to stay away from, the term realistic. So, Daniel Craig, he's really good in that regard. It's hard for me, to say that he's better than other Bonds. I could probably say that I prefer Daniel Craig a little bit more than Lazenby, but Lazenby still was a good Bond. So, for me, I prefer other Bonds more. Pierce Brosnan was more of my era. So, again, and I'll get more into that a little bit when I talk about the cast. But I do like Daniel Craig. So, like I said, I know he's got one more film coming out, so we'll see what happens. But talking about the plot real quick, you have Daniel Craig as Bond here, and he's after this banker type. I would try to pronounce this character's name, but this actor I've seen before. I forgot what other stuff he's been in. I want to say he's in that Hannibal series. Let me see here. This actor, if I try to pronounce his name, I'm going to botch it. But yeah, this guy, he's in the Hannibal Lecter TV series that lasted 2 years. He was also in Rogue One, the Fantastic Beasts film series. So he's our villain here. And he's a banker to the world's terrorists. And he's participating in the poker game. And he has to win his money back. And in order to stay safe amongst the terrorist market. And MI6, of course you have Judi Dench back as M. and she sends Bond to try to win this game. And you have sort of our Bond girl here, this character of Vesper Lind, played by Eva Green. And so her and Bond, they attend this poker game where Bond plays against our main villain here. You have the character Felix Leiter in this film, played by Jeffrey Wright. And you have some other side characters as well. So, Bond, like I said, he has to play against our villain here in this poker game. And, things start to become dangerous. And that's when you find out more about the villain's plot and what have you. And that's kind of the synopsis here, or a short synopsis. But, so yeah, maybe it's a little, and describing the plot's a little bit scatterbrained, but, again, I really like this movie. It was refreshing to watch after, 15 years. But, yeah, Martin Campbell directed the film. Now, before this, Martin Campbell directed GoldenEye. He directed, The Mask of Zorro, Vertical Limit. And I do like Martin Campbell. Even No Escape, that sci-fi movie he directed before GoldenEye. A really good movie. Underrated film with Ray Liotta. Sci-fi picture. But, Martin Campbell, I thought he did a great job here directing. Now, I would say on the action front, because he directed GoldenEye, I would say Martin Campbell brought more action to that film, more beats of action. Casino Royale, there's some decent bits of action here and there, but it's more about the suspense of, Bond going up against our main villain here and trying to win this poker game. And so it's more built on suspense and more of a slow burn. But you do have your moments. I mean, you have the stuff in the beginning where Bond is after this one guy, kind of a parkour character. So you have a good foot chase. And I thought it was well filmed. And it's a great way to, kick off the movie. It gets you right in there. So I really liked, the chase at the beginning. And even before that, before the theme of the film, you have some scenes that are in black and white. So I really like that. And then you got some stuff later on where, Bond gets into a fight in a stairwell. So that was good stuff. You have a scene where it's not an action scene, but you have a scene where Bond is being tortured, and I think the torture is called Dutch scratching. And but yeah, that was interesting. I mean, I would not want to be tortured like that. Fuck that, But 007 has a fun little line in there. So you got that scene. You got the climax at the end where they're in these buildings, and that's where it gets into more, get more into the plot. The Vesper character, the girl that Bond likes. Don't want to spoil it too much for people who haven't seen the film, but you have these buildings that are on these floating devices, and something happens where these devices give, and the foundation of these buildings, start to sink into the Grand Canal. And I liked how, that was filmed. I thought it was well shot, where these buildings are taking up water. The water's coming in, and it's a lot of, again, it's well shot stuff. So when the action does happen, while it's not, compared to GoldenEye has more beats of action. It's more, big scale, if you will. I'm starting to sound like Dusty Rhodes. Yeah, Bond, baby. He's after, and I'm not going to even try to do a Dusty Rhodes impression. But I just figure I'd throw in a little humor. But like I said, the third act is fun. So, I mean, when the action comes up, while it may not have the scale of a GoldenEye, where there's a lot of big beats of action. But, again, you get some decent moments here and there in this film. But it's more about, again, the suspense of, Bond going up against our main villain at this poker game. And even like that, even the moments where, like you got one scene, for example, where Bond is poisoned and he has to go out to his car and he gets this device, sort of a defibrillator, and he's trying to, M is trying to tell him what to do, and I really like that stuff. So even the more quiet moments where, again, it's more about the poker game, and you could say that's a lot of the second act. Bond is in this game, so even I enjoyed that. I thought it was, good stuff. Now, looking at the cast here, I will pull up the cast. I always talk about the cast. I think I was talking about the cast, but again, Daniel Craig does a really good job here. Does a really good job as Bond. Eva Green, I thought she was good in the film. I didn't mind her as sort of the Bond girl, the love interest. Now, like I said, you would find out more about that character later on. Again, this villain here, I think the character's name is... See, I know if I try, I'm going to mess up, but Le Chiffre. See, I know I can't get the name right. And that's the hard part with these names. I can't get them right. But, again, he does a good job as the villain here. You have some other side characters. You have this character of Mathis. This actor I've seen before, but I can't place what else he's been in. I know I've seen him before. And you have, again, other characters like this Mr. White character that, he would reappear in Quantum of Solace. Of course, you would have Judi Dench as the head of MI6, M. You have the character Felix Slider. And I thought Jeffrey Wright did a really good job playing that character. He's, again, very good job, playing that CIA operative. I like Jeffrey Wright, so he does a good job here. So, I mean, you get some, of course, like I said, you get Bond, you get, the character of, the love interest type, you get our villain, you get some other side characters that, they're fine for what they had to do. I mean, really the highlight of this movie is Daniel Craig. But, again, the cast does fine. And again, it's cool to see Judi Dench as, that character again here. And, like I said, Martin Campbell does a really good job, directing. And again, it's more of a slow build movie. But I still like the film. I mean, I still, even enjoy, like I said, the quiet moments. So, while you can say GoldenEye is more of a action, adventure, Bond film, this is more of a, slow build, slow burn, with some moments here and there. Now, I mean, you can say, I know you can probably say, okay, at the time, the Jason Bourne movies, that, this Bond is sort of borrowing from that template, if you will, that it tries to be, Jason Bourne, hence more realistic. But I would still watch any of the Bond films over the Jason Bourne films. So just to get that out of the way. So, but at the end of the day, I don't want to give away too much as far as stuff in the plot for people who haven't seen the film. But like I said, at the end of the day, Casino Royale to me is a really good Bond film. Like I said, it's more of a grounded Bond film. It's more of a serious movie, with some decent bits of action, a little bit throughout the movie. Again, Daniel Craig, he brings more of a grounded approach to the character. Again, it's hard for me to say that he's better than other Bonds, but he, to me, brings his own class, kind of a classic feel to the character, but, have, more serious moments. And again, while I much prefer other Bonds, Sean Connery, Roger Moore, even Dalton Moore, I still like Daniel Craig a lot. So, But yeah, that's my review of Casino Royale. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for my review of Quantum of Solace. So yeah, and that's the weird thing with these movies. Before I get ahead, when I talk about that film, because while I still like Daniel Craig, the movies have done this sort of number here. Quantum of Solace, has its issues, but I still like the film. But I'll talk more about that. But yeah, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for my review of Quantum of Solace. But again, thank you for watching, and have a good day.